Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. It is still April 15th, 2015, tax day here in the United States. And for tax day, we're getting a special hoax of a story. Not quite as alarming as the Boston Marathon bombing from 2 years earlier, but this one is of an angry mailman who landed a gyrocopter on the Capitol lawn. Let's listen to it from CNN, then I'll tell you what's funny about this.
Those words are from an extensive website believed to have been built by the suspected 61-year-old pilot well before
61-year-old pilot. Remember the number 61. 61-year-old pilot.
his flight that ended amid confusion, alarm, and drawn guns on the Capitol lawn. Nora News saw the single-seat aircraft approach.
It flew straight toward us on the west face of the Capitol building, landed on the lawn, bounced once, and then sat still. The man sat still, sat in his chair, and then one cop came down and started trying to figure out what was happening. Another one came down, and within about 30 seconds, there were dozens of police cars, a large number of men with rifles and snipers running toward the man, yelling, "Don't move, don't move."
News says nearby security forces seemed unaware of the craft until it touched down. While the suspected pilot appears to have kept details of his plan sketchy, in many ways it was hidden in plain sight. Not only did he have his website, he had talked extensively to the Tampa Bay Times, which in turn reported that he was previously questioned by the Secret Service. His website says he even sent an email to President Obama before taking off, insisting he was no threat and didn't want to be shot down. He was just a protester on a mission.
I thought it was a joke at first, and then my next thought was that this was something really bad.
So what was his mission? According to his website and the Tampa newspaper's reports, the man is deeply concerned about campaign finance reform and wanted to deliver more than 500 copies of a letter to members of Congress. The website says he was prompted to take dramatic action following the suicide of his son over unrelated matters. It says the pilot worked on this attention-grabbing protest for well over 2 years, and in that time he bought his aircraft, learned to fly it, and plotted his path, a flight that ended in a daring dive toward the Capitol. This notion that he informed the White House and others that he was going to do this before he took off really matters, because think about this. If he was, in fact, an hour outside the no-fly zone here, that means he was still out in a zone where you're supposed to tell the FAA you're flying. So this aircraft of his would have flown for somewhere around 2 hours before coming in here. We don't know it came from this direction. It could have come from another direction up here, from anywhere. But that meant that this aircraft would have been a couple of hundred feet off the ground, traveling at only 25 miles an hour through what is supposed to be some of the most protected airspace in the country, Jake. And yet, through all of that, he managed to come not only right down here to where the Washington Monument is, the White House is, the Smithsonian all through here, all sorts of departments of the government through here, and the Capitol, to touch down right in front of the U.S. Capitol. Jake, above all else, there are some huge questions being asked right now among some of the top security agencies in this nation's capital about...
Isn't it amazing, Truth Seeker? Your whole life you've never heard stories like this, but now they've become a weekly, a monthly occurrence. I mean, we've had multiple White House fence jumpers, assassins right outside the White House, this, and a whole bunch of other crap that none of us can keep straight in our mind. You know, I'm probably the one person in this country that's paid the most attention to the media in the last year. Anybody who's spent more time than me, I am super impressed. But I mean, even my point is, spending all this time paying attention, I can't even keep it all straight because it's so overwhelming. It's so overloading. But what I want you to focus on is that they said he was a 61-year-old, 6'1". The name Doug Hughes with Pythagorean gematria, S exception, is 61. Without the S exception, it's 52. Another number we've seen a lot of. The gematria for Gyrocopter is also 61. So get this, Gyrocopter 61, his name's 61, his age is 61. And what does the name Doug Hughes remind you of? Probably Howard Hughes, the man who liked to fly, another Hughes. Howard's a 33 name, by the way, Truth Seeker. Howard Hughes, Doug Hughes. And with regards to Doug, it has that gematria of 47, like the word president. All of these stories hint at something coming for the president. The word gyrocopter with simple English gematria sums to 142, just like President Obama. This is a number of much importance. If you write out 42 in Summit, it sums to 142. If you sum out 30, or if you write out 39 in Summit, it also sums to 142. The word terrorist is 142. This is a number that has significance to these occult numerologists. Look at also how President Obama in Jewish gematria equals 477. 47 is the president number. The White House is on the 77th meridian. Remember, there was a blackout in the White House on April 7th, 47. You get it? A blackout in the White House. Get the black cat out of the White House, you know? Again, True Seeker, it's April 15th. Lincoln once died on this date. He died in Ford's Theater. That theater was reopened in the year 68, the year MLK was assassinated on April 4th, 44. We now have the 44th president who reopened Ford's Theater when he became president. February 11th, 2009, the 42nd day of the year. That was the first time it had been reopened since it was closed after being reopened. So if you can follow that, it was closed after Lincoln was assassinated. It was reopened in 1968 for the first time. MLK was assassinated in 1968. 9 years later, it closed again in 77. Then Obama reopened it in 2009. 32 years later. Obama equals 32 in simple English gematria. 84 in Jewish gematria, like his birthday, August 4th. The numerology of the date Lincoln was assassinated on, 4/15/65, has a numerology of 84, connecting to Obama. The point I'm trying to make is how all this stuff is part of a coded circle of numbers. Older than Lincoln, way before Obama was on this planet. Way before anyone watching this video was on this planet. They've been hoaxing us throughout history by the numbers. So here it is. I mean, everybody who watches my video blog has this knowledge to share and help spread, and that's what we have to do. Because this pattern is undeniable. Stories coded by numerology every day. The 61-year-old with the 61 name on the 61 vehicle. What a hoax. All right, Truth Seeker. Until next time.